Okay, let's go.
He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
Car.
Roses would be...
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have.
You'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns, which are like,
Yeah.
I want to have a man's coolant.
And he's like, oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light.
It's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West. Internet.
You know, is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast content.
very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke.
It loves to be driven hard.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Auto Off Topic. What's up, Brad?
Not too much, Andrew. What's up with you?
We are just, it's a weeknight. That's what it is. We are
It's
podcasting.
Wednesday? No, it's Thursday.
Yeah, it is Thursday. So, I don't know. We get a little bit of project car updates.
We do.
Definitely going to talk about that final NASCAR race because that was interesting and infuriating for certain people.
That's who you are. If you're a good person, it was infuriating.
I don't know. I don't have anything other than getting into project cars, so let's get right into it. I got
Before you get there, have you? I don't know if this is a Phoenix thing or if it's a countrywide thing, but have you noticed on normal sedans on the road, people putting stickers on their door pillars?
like the B pillars.
Like where the on a sedan it has like the black trim over the
Yep.
pillar, like where the B pillar is on top of the door.
Yep. Yeah.
Have you noticed people putting stickers on those?
Like what kind of stickers? Just like any kind of sticker?
Oh my God. No. They sell specifically now stickers to put over those pillars. And they're usually like tattoo style images like skulls or like praying hands or flames or, of course, the Joker. You haven't seen this yet?
No.
I wonder if it's just a Phoenix thing.
I mean, I was thinking of like the driving crooner, but
Right. Yeah, exactly. No. This is the newest and latest and greatest in incredibly poor taste automotive mods. There are car. They call them like I've looked them up now because saw them on the road a few times, and they're just car stickers, car pillar stickers, basically on Amazon. And it looks to me like they came from TikTok shops originally, and that's how it started. But yeah, so if you like skulls, you're in luck because new skull products have dropped. So I was just curious if they've made it countrywide yet or not, because I have seen them on a very large number of vehicles in the past month or so. I've probably seen 10 or 15 different sets around town. So
no, definitely not. And I'm glad I have it.
Yeah.
But now that you mentioned, I'll probably see it.
Yeah, you'll definitely see it. I'll try to take a picture next time I see it. I did not.
I've only seen the ones where someone tries to put like a fake carbon sticker there or something.
Yeah, no, that used to be the poor taste thing to do. This is even worse because it's, a very it reminds me of when people put like a sticker on their gas door. It's like, why are you highlighting the gas door? Why are we highlighting the black pillar trim? Like that pillar trim is black so that it blends in. That's part of the design of the car. Why are we covering it in multiple color stickers? Whatever. To each their own, right? Well, live and let live, but just make fun of them on the podcast later. They're just bad.
Definitely.
They're bad enough that I noticed them and I had to bring them up. But if you have not seen them yet, then I'll make sure to send you some pictures because it's not good.
All right. Well, speaking of cars that had goofy things stuck to the side of it, my red Volvo,
Yes, no
the
skulls though.
portholes stuck
Yet.
to it. Yeah. um, an old Jolly Roger on it might be kind of cool on it, like a little sticker somewhere. But I don't know about like
Actual giant pirate
airbrush,
flag.
yeah, airbrush skulls. Uh, yeah, but working on that. I did not go back to the other side of the lighting that I messed up. I haven't fixed that yet. I went right to the other side and I fixed that the correct way. All the lights are lighting up. So,
-1.
yeah, on the on the driver's side, they're all lighting up. I also mounted the fuse and relay panel that we're adding.
I saw that. That looked very nice.
Yeah, I just kind of came with nice brackets and I just kind of bent them the way I needed them. And, typical Andrew project, threw some riv nuts in there. Wouldn't be an Andrew project without some riv nuts. Then,
I have
what
a
else I
riv
do to
nut
it?
gun because of you. I just don't use it nearly as much as you. I need to start using it more.
The car needed some new ground spots, and instead of using sheet metal screws, I just opened up the holes and put some riv nuts in there, and now I know it's definitely secure and it's uh, good ground. So that's that's better. And then I had to order some more parts. We needed some different things to make the wiring work. So that's coming along. Gonna work on a bunch of it this Saturday. So it's actually it shouldn't be too far off from being started. Wiring, much more wiring we need to fix or do under the hood. It's basically mostly all fixed. We did power up the car. My dad got the jump pack out because we don't have a battery for it right now. We just powered up the car and just to see what lights work.
I mean, that's exciting.
Yeah, the brake lights don't work, so that's interesting. So it's probably, hopefully, like a bad ground. That's usually what it is. I would start there, and
Probably bad
then
gas.
see if it's yeah. It definitely has bad gas in the back. So yeah, maybe the bad gas is affecting the brake lights. But the turn signals worked, and the marker lights worked in the back. So just no brake lights, kind of a problem. But the plate lights didn't work either. So yeah, maybe there's some ground where the plate lights and the brake lights are on and it's not attached or it's dirty or something.
Yeah, that's
So
my guess on that car because so much wiring stuff was done. There's probably something was tapped in somewhere and either not plugged in or a ground needs to be reset. If the plate lights also don't work,
yeah,
I'm sure they're on the same circuit.
and the other lights in the same housings work. So there's clearly something amiss. So maybe it isn't a ground. Maybe it's a brake light switch. But regardless, it'll get fixed. It's that's like not a big deal in my mind. It's for my dad and I, electrical stuff like that is pretty easy for us. What else did I do to it? Oh, I ordered a set of LED conversion lights, headlights. And they are not ugly. So I ordered them from a company called Vintage Diodes. It's a local guy in New England, sells them. He sources all the parts, puts the kits together. They're definitely more expensive than like the kit you could buy from Toyota. But I think the bulb quality is higher. And like he's done the work to find what bulbs work best with the housing. They're Kyoto housings with some
So
nice 3000K LED bulb in it.
the
So it's
Toyota
like,
ones don't include the bulbs.
oh, okay.
Or if they do, they're just an H4 conversion. They're not anything beyond that.
Yeah. So these are a
If you did
nice
LEDs, that's why they're more.
Yeah. So these are a nice vintage yellow LED. That's what the guy was going for. A fluted glass with a vintage color light. So
Oh, that's just standard 7-inch round lights in that car, right?
they are. Yep.
So what
And
does that kit go for?
it already has, because the European car, it already has H4 style plugs, so I didn't have to buy the conversion harness from him, the pigtail. So it was $160 for two headlights, two bulbs. So
Yeah, that's not
glass
bad
headlights
for a
and
plug-and-play
bulbs.
kit. Yeah. The glass lenses themselves are cheaper, but like I said, they come with standard H4 bulbs, not an LED conversion. So that's probably where the price difference comes from. If you're happy with those, I might pick those up for my Cressida, because my Cressida still has the bright ultra white LEDs somebody put in it.
Yeah. I'm
Not in
gonna
my ownership, but I haven't changed yet.
I'll plug him in probably this weekend when I'm working on the electrical stuff, and power up the car and just check him out. But that's the other thing. It'll take some load off of the electrical system in the car, because the headlights are probably the biggest draw when you're running the car at night. And it should look, still have that vintage look. They aren't as domed as conventional sealed beams are, but that's just the nature of it. I don't think I haven't seen a conversion LED light or housing that has a super dome to it, like a conventional light. I don't know if you have.
Not one that also doesn't have like 15 different sections and bulbs and ugly
Yeah,
things behind it.
yeah,
Some of those have a
exactly.
big dome to them, but yeah, most of these are more flat. And I don't mind them being flatter as long as they still have a fluted lens. I think the fluted lens is important because it shows that it's still an old school style bulb. And the color is obviously important because blue or super white light doesn't work right in an old car.
Yeah, and
So,
then there's a diffuser in front of the bulb, so if you look in there, you can't see the LED bulb. So it's got
so it looks like a standard old style bulb. So
yeah. So this guy, his description says he's tried out a bunch of different housings. He's settled on these. He likes the light cutoff pattern and how they work with the bulbs. So I'll test him out, and I'll let you know.
I mean, Kyoto is a reputable headlight manufacturer. That's the OEM bulb
Yeah,
for sealed beam Japanese cars for ever. So that's a positive.
but you could mix it with some crummy LED bulb, and it might make it look terrible.
Sure, 100%. Yeah, most LED conversions do not work. So having a properly sourced and sorted kit is a good way to go.
Definitely. So that's what I got going on there. Gonna work on that car Saturday. Try to finish up a lot of that electrical stuff. I had to get a coil bracket because the bracket was too big for the coil that was in there stock. It had a Fram filter box wrapped around it, and then with a piece of like aluminum flashing wrapped around it to look like a polished coil. So I went to put my new coil in there, and I was like, "Well, this isn't gonna fit." So I found a coil bracket off of Ford. Um, that's a lot smaller. That should work and bolt to the firewall in the same spot. And then I gotta do an oil change on Stephanie's car, and I'm actually gonna change the gear oil and the transmission and the diff because there was supposedly an issue. They want you to put heavier gear oil in the diffs so the diff doesn't wear out. Because I really don't want to do a diff in that car.
No, especially not after doing all the bearings and stuff already. No more dailies as projects.
Exactly. So,
Solid updates.
yeah, that's what I got on the Volvo. What do you got for your project updates?
So we had a big moving of the cars day because, as everybody knows, everything is currently broken. So I had the motors out of the Corolla, but it was in the bay in the garage that I'm going to use for working on things because it's the most open area to work on cars. So I had to get that out of there. In order to do that, I had to move the Starion that I recently purchased but haven't done anything with. So I had to move that, and the Porsche was blocking it. It was a whole thing. So once Naomi and I moved all of the cars, I put the Corolla where the Mercor was parked in the garage, and then put the Mercor in the service bay so I can work on the Mercor. Figured I would start with the simplest of the projects for that car and try to get everything done in time for, now that the driving season here in Phoenix has kind of opened up because it's getting cooler out there. I can go to more events and try to advertise the car for sale. So first step was to change the passenger side door handle because it was snapped and did not open the door anymore. Turns out that the handle, from the handle to the rod inside the door, is all one like molded piece of plastic, and that's what broke. And then it was a hot metal piece that it pivots on that was bolted to the door. So I took the whole door apart, took the handle off. I had purchased a used one off the internet about 6 months ago, and had just had put it in the glove box, and had just sitting there waiting to change it out. So door panel came off pretty easy. At some point, somebody broke a couple of tabs on it, and there were a couple of screws that are definitely not factory that they put in there to kind of hold it together. But I think that's probably the case with a lot of 80s stuff at this point because, mounting tabs break, and at least they put the screws in very uh, inconspicuous places. So they didn't, just run a lag bolt through the middle of the door panel somewhere. It looks, before I took it apart, I didn't realize it wasn't OEM. So they did at least a good job in hiding the extra hardware they used to mount it up with. So not a big deal. And also that means it will mount solidly back up using that same hardware. So that's good. Um, went to put the new door handle on and noticed that where the old one was pot metal against the door, the new one is actually plastic where it mounts the door as well. So the whole assembly is plastic. And in doing a little bit more digging, it looks like the pot metal one might be an aftermarket replacement because there's no Ford part numbers on it anywhere. So the only issue with that was I didn't have the proper size screw now to mount the door handle to the door because the pot metal handle had a very fine thread machine screw that actually threaded through the door and into the back of the handle. It almost looks like somebody re-drilled the door for that machine screw to have the same thread as well as the handle. So not only did the screw bite into the door, it also bites into the handle to hold it nice and tight. And I don't think the car was designed that way. I think originally it had the plastic handle because the one that I'm putting in there is a plastic handled one, and I got it off of a junked Mercor. So I assumed it would be OEM, and it has all the Ford part numbers, and it's all plastic. So I don't know if it was just an aftermarket replacement was made differently, or if it was an upgrade at some point. But nonetheless, the new one won't have that pot metal; it'll be all plastic. But it seems to be in solid condition and functional, and that's all that matters. Um, but I had to take the run to Ace Hardware Racing, as we refer to it in the Discord chat. So I made the run to Ace Hardware Racing and brought the door handle with me to find the right thread pattern. The only difference now is, unfortunately, the holes in the door are too large for the proper thread pattern. So it's not a big deal. It just won't also bolt to the door. Just the door will be sandwiched in between, which is probably how it was factory anyway. So I'm not going to stress too much about it. But so we now have a door handle on the passenger side of the Mercor. So project number 1 is done. Project number 2 is to do the speedometer that stopped working. So that's happening next. I need to do a little bit of digging to find out if it's at the transmission end or the cluster end. So the car goes up in the air next time I go out to the garage and figure out which end that's on. And then those are the two, honestly, the two real big projects that it has left. gonna do an oil change and buy some tires for it, and that's it. It'll be pretty much ready to go. So if I do a few more things, I might go through the brakes or just some other maintenance stuff as I drive it and learn what it needs more of. Because I've owned the car now for what, 3 years, 3.5 years, um, and I've maybe driven it 300 miles. So I haven't put many miles on it, and I need to kind of learn what it actually needs before I do try to sell it. So the good news is though is that the car is pretty well sorted now. It fires right up every time. The battery drawer is gone. Um, Everything is functioning. The car drives nicely. It pulls nicely. It's definitely transformed in the past year or so of fiddling with things. So I'm happy with where it's at, but I do think that I'm ready to move on. So I'm going to try a little harder to put that up for sale. So
Be happier with it with someone else.
I'll be happier with it with someone else. Yeah, as much as it's like you get it to the point where you're like, oh, this car is good now. I don't want to sell it, but also I've done my I've done my time with it. I think I'm done, and it's best to sell it now while it's good for somebody. Like honestly, if somebody that was 15 hours away said, "Will it make it home?" at this point, I would say yes, because the car is running that well. So it's good. The car deserved it. The car needed it, and now it's good. So moving on to a new home. What else did I do? I fiddled a bit with the new Starion because I moved it. So I got the car here, and everybody probably remembers that I got the car here, and then 2 days later, I was on an airplane heading to Massachusetts. This is back in July, and I just haven't touched it. It's literally been sitting under a cover in the side yard, awaiting its turn. I said I wouldn't do anything to it until I finished the Mercor and finished the 944, and that's still the case. But because I moved it, it was in a spot where I could see it more. So I filled the tires with air and fiddled around with a few things, and it had been bothering me because if you remember when I bought it, the passenger's window was smashed out of it, and they had taped a plastic bag to the side of the car. Now they used duct tape probably 3 or 4 years ago on the side of the car, and it was all the residue and whatnot was just stuck to the car, and I was afraid it was gonna, I was afraid it had eaten the paint, and it would be a problem. So I was like, you know what, I should probably take some time to see if I can at least get that off, because at least the car will look prettier sitting here, and I won't have to worry about the paint if it actually comes off now. So I moved the car, and in moving the car, I don't know if you also remember, I also said that you could smell old fuel at the back of the car, and
Yeah.
the car's not rusty. So I was like, "Ugh, the tank
Hmm.
can't be rotted. I wonder why I'm smelling this stuff." Now, you already know because I sent you the pictures,
Mm-hmm.
but I crawled under the car, and there are two big square holes in the tank.
Hmm.
So it appears that somebody at some point took some kind of a pickaxe to the tank to drain the
Oh
fuel
boy.
out of it. Yeah, probably to steal the fuel, would be my guess. Um, Given the socioeconomic conditions in the city that it was in, it's a city of poor decisions, I guess we'd call it sometimes. There's um, a lot of addiction, unfortunately, in the city that it was parked in. Um, and my guess is that somebody was hard up for some gas and knew the car was sitting and stole that gas out of there. So that stinks because I need to buy a tank. That being said, I'm not too stressed about it because the tank doesn't change from 83 to 89. So every Starion Conquest ever has the same gas tank. I was intending to pull the tank regardless because I was going to, clean it and get everything out of it. And I want to put it back together with a better, more modern fuel pump um, that I won't have to worry about changing. So Probably not a big deal that it needs a tank. I just wasn't planning on buying one. I was planning on reusing that one, but now I'm gonna have to buy a tank. So I guess I don't have to buy a tank. Worst case scenario, I probably could have it repaired if I can't find one, but I don't think I won't be able to find one. Unfortunately, I have a parts car, but the tank in the parts car is also damaged. I just patched it a couple years ago on the top because the top of it was all rotted because New England. I'm sure you remember when I went to get gas at the Irving down the street from our parents' house, and I filled it with gas, and all the gas went all over the ground, and we Exxon Valdez to the Irving station. So that tank is
Sure.
not exact.
Yeah.
What's
The
that?
attendant remembers.
The attendant probably remembers. Yes, yes, it was a bit of gas on the ground for sure. Um, that being said, I did drop that tank. I did put some like 2-part epoxy on it to seal it at the top. I wouldn't put that in a nice car. It was fine for the ratty one, but I probably won't intentionally put that in a nice car. Unless for some reason I can't find a tank, then I have enough parts of the 2 tanks to make one, I guess. So that's annoying, but it is what it is. Moved the car, kind of went through the interior of the car. I haven't really even sat in the car yet, other than just to like roll it off the trailer. And it was dark when I did that. And I knew the car was nice from when I went and looked at it the first time, but this is the first time I've really like dug around the interior of the car, and it's immaculate. Like I don't even know how to explain how nice it is. Looked in all the pockets and stuff and found all the extra stuff that was in the car that I hadn't looked at before. Now, the one thing that's sort of, but not fully disappointing is that I was told that the previous owner was the original owner of the car. And based on the documentation that I found in the car, he was not the original owner. So the car is in 84 and he
Hmm.
bought it in November of 86.
Oh, okay.
So it had 29,000 miles on it when he bought it. So the first 29,000 miles had a different owner who I do not know who it was. The paperwork was in the glove box. His entire purchase and sales agreement, right down to the canceled check for the down payment. That was kind of interesting. It was, the address I bought the car from, the son of the person who owned it. Again, not the original owner, but the second owner. Same address. Bought, like I said, November of 86, 29,000 or 30,000 miles. He paid $9,000, which at the time was not inexpensive for a car. The finance rate was 16.9, which also for the time was probably pretty normal for a car. So his
Yeah.
monthly payment in 1986 for 48 months was $272,
That's
which
not inexpensive
is
for
not
then,
inexpensive in
for that time.
1986. Yeah. So I did the Google calculator, right? The how much is $272 in 2025 money? And based on inflation, that's the equivalent of a $750 car payment now.
So
So
yeah. So in line with car
it's a lot
payments
of
now.
money, which is actually about the average car payment now, which is insanity. But yeah, that's pretty much the average now. So the interesting thing was his trade in. I don't think I've told you yet. Do you have a guess of what his trade in was?
Ooh, what would he have traded in 1986?
So let me give you a little background on this guy. He was born in 1940 because I have copies of license now is in there as well. He was
Yeah.
born in 1940. He lived in a mining town.
Okay.
So Globe, Arizona is a copper mine town. He worked as a copper miner. So he probably made good money because the miners made good money. He was a balding man in his picture in the driver's license, and he definitely smoked a lot because the ashtray is filled to the brim with ash. So I don't know what else to give you for updated things. So,
The
so he born in 1940. In 1986, he would have been 40. Sorry, he born in 42. So in 86, he would have been 44, which is ironic because that's the same age that I am now when I bought his car. So
it's quite a choice to buy that random, seemingly Japanese
Right.
sports car in that town.
The other vehicles in the yard when I bought the car were a square body Silverado and a boat with that Volvo engine.
I mean, it
Very
was only 40 years after World War II, and people are still pretty sore about Pearl Harbor. So,
and Mitsubishi especially.
yeah, uh, it's got to be something like, you know, did you trade in like a '59 Chevy or something?
Not even close. I'll give you one more hint. There's the identical one of these vehicles that he traded in my possession.
No. um, so a Dodge Ram?
Right? Okay, I shouldn't say identical, but basically yes. He traded in a 1984 Mitsubishi Mighty Max 4x4.
How odd.
So strange, right? Literally the same vehicle that I have. He traded in for this car. And what like in a weird like way of the world, I had said I wasn't going to buy any more cars unless I found a 4x4 first gen Mighty Max or a good flat body manual transmission stereo. And I found both of them within a year of each other, unfortunately. And turns out the guy that I bought the stereo from, well, from his estate, also had a first gen Mighty Max 4x4. Such a weird thing. In my brain, I hope it was also white.
Yeah, maybe.
So mine's not an 84, mine's an 86, but my pickup truck, but still.
Yeah, maybe he was just like, I want the same thing, but you know,
Turbo.
turbocharged. Or yeah,
Yeah.
you said it was an '84 though, so he probably saw them on the lot in '84 and was like, oh, I need a pickup truck, and then was like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm
that
having
could
a
be.
midlife
That could be.
crisis.
Yeah.
I bought it when I was 40. Now I'm having a midlife crisis at 44.
Yeah,
Let's get
could
a
be.
sports car.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows? Maybe he bought the smaller truck, realized he needed a bigger truck, bought a bigger truck, and then traded the small truck in for a sports car. Who knows? Nonetheless, he did not buy it. He did not buy this at a Mitsubishi dealer, though. This was purchased at Chapman Chevrolet. Um, and the salesman's card is still in the car as well. And the salesman was John Chapman. So I looked it up. The dealership is still there. It's still a Chevrolet dealer. And John Chapman at the time was a salesman, sales and finance. He was the son of the owner, and he is now the owner of Chapman Chevrolet. So that's kind of a
Well, yeah,
cool
that's
little
typical dealership.
connection too. Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, listen, I'm not going to fault the guy for taking over his dad's dealership. Like, that's cool. But, um, yeah. So, nonetheless, the guy who currently owns Chapman Chevrolet was the salesman of the car back in 1986 when he traded in his 84 Mighty Max
Hmm.
for his 84 Starion. So, anyway, cool little like discovery route I went down to find all this stuff, but super neat. So it has a mint condition owner's manual and the little billfold that the owner's manual came in, like the gray Mitsubishi cloth thing they used to have, is in there. It still has the Mitsubishi Motors part number sticker on the back of it, like still in mint condition. So super neat. I'll take some pictures of it and post it to the Instagram so people can see it. Um, just a cool little extra to go with the car. A little bummed that he wasn't the original owner, only because it would have been cool to be the second owner of the car. But I mean, at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter that much. So the story got twisted somewhere. I'm sure the son who I was dealing with remembers the car all the way back to '86 and probably just assumed it had been since '84 and probably didn't even know it was a used car. Probably thought it was new. So the good news is though, digging through the car, um, it doesn't need much as far as like cosmetics. It's gonna just need a good deep cleaning. I started obviously with that glue residue on the door. Broke out the rubber eraser wheel that I used on the Radwood logos in the 944, and knocked off all of the glue. The combination of that and some Goo Gone and paper towels. Um, and then Naomi came up with another idea that worked really well by laying the paper towel on the side of the door and then spraying the Goo Gone on it and sticking it to the door, like with the paper towel on there, and just let it sit in the sun. And the Goo Gone really kind of did its business and went back in there with the eraser wheel. And, it took a few hours based on how much tape was on there, but it came off without leaving any residue at all. So you can't even tell it was ever there. One more point of discovery, that side window is blown out, which I knew. My guess is, looking at the car, that the side of the car was probably in the exit chute path of a lawnmower or something, because that entire side of the car is peppered with microscopic little rock chips, which is probably why the window blew out of it. So they're not something that you wouldn't really notice unless you're like looking really closely at the paint, and once it's buffed up and a little shiny, because it's in pretty good shape and it's a clear coated color, I think, because it's not chalky at all. But once it's really clean and shiny, you probably won't notice it. But if you look really closely, the whole side of the car is just peppered with rock chips. So, and rock chips don't normally happen on the side of the car, and that window's blown out. So that's my assumption, that it was either the chute of a lawnmower that went past it all the time, or a weed eater, or something along those lines that kind of peppered that side of the car. So kind of stinks, but it is what it is. Overall, still, considering I thought I was buying a parts car, it's a pretty clean car. So no complaints. But yeah, I'm excited to dig a little more deep into that. Um, I opened the hatch, and there's the right front wheel on the car is the spare tire, and I knew that the correct aluminum wheel was in the hatch. But I picked up the cover where the spare goes underneath to see what was under there. Check the floor pan and everything. The floor is mint, but it turns out there's actually a fifth alloy under there. So there's 5 factory alloys in the car. So I did not know that. Um, what else did I do? I cleaned under the hood. I gave it a full degreasing and scrub. Used some of that O'Reilly's foaming degreaser spray and various different styles of brushes to clean up under the hood, and I cleaned up really nicely. It's a Arizona car, so there's no rust. The only area I even have to worry about treating for future rust is below the brake fluid reservoir, where a lot of cars have the paint stripped off from brake fluid over the years. That is pretty toasted under there, but there's no rust hole. It's just shiny sheet metal. So I'll be able to just put some etching primer and some white paint on there and kind of hide it. Never worry about it again. But yeah, car's gonna be nice. It's not gonna take much, I don't think. So, like I said, I'm probably not gonna do too much more until the Mercor is done. So, trying to stick by my one car at a time rules so I can actually finish things instead of being stuck in the behind of everything being broken. But that's where we're at. That's what I've done this week. So, car's back in the backyard, back covered up, waiting for its next thing. And maybe I'll do something else small to it while I'm working on the cars. Maybe I'll clean the interior, vacuum it, put some protectant on it. I want to pull the seats out of it and bag them with some leather conditioner and see if I can bring the leather back a little bit. Oh yeah, one more thing. There was a spot on the headrest and the side of the seat that I thought was worn through the color of the leather. It was kind of like a worn spot. One of the grossest discovery of all time. Naomi was like, I think that's just like grime. And I was like, I don't know. So she went in the house and got some of the chemical guys' interior detail stuff and tested a little spot, and it came back to the correct maroon. And it turns out that it was mostly dead skin cells from his bald head on the headrest. So
Yeah.
pretty disgusting, but nice that it cleaned up nicely. So also, when I bought the Mercor and I thought I was going to fall in love with it, I bought a nice brand new Momo Prototipo. So I'll probably slap that in stereo on. So
That's cool.
anyway, one thing at a time. But yeah, little updates like that will probably happen. Like I said, it's a good like slump buster project when you're working on something that's a little bit more involved and you just want to clean something. That's what I kind of did. I'm not actually doing any projects with it. I'm not trying to start it. I'm not trying to do anything else. But I kind of wanted to go through it and do a little bit more discovery. And now I can start looking for a fuel tank, so I won't be surprised when I go to work on it that I need to buy a fuel tank. So hopefully I can get ahead of the game on some stuff like that. But car is going to be nice, and it's pretty immaculate. It still has the factory exhaust on it. Like,
Wow.
I don't think I've seen a Starion with a factory exhaust on it. So good stuff. But yeah, that's the project car updates here. That's all I've worked on.
Yeah. Well, the last NASCAR update until Daytona in January or February. I know we said last week, but we gotta recap the championship race, right? So,
Final race.
spoiler alert: the person that we least wanted to win won the whole championship.
Illusion.
Yeah, in a weird, definitely a weird way. I don't know, a frustrating way.
I am not kidding when I'm thinking that there might have been some funny business being played, but what do I know?
It sure felt like it. I mean, who knows? I don't know how you prove it.
Can't prove it. That's the problem.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean
And even if you could, Hendrick Motorsports would just squash it. I mean, I saw a stat today that Hendrick has won 15 of the last 31 titles.
So recap here. If you didn't watch the race, uh, Carl Larson did not win the race, but he finished highest out of the final four, so he won the championship. But it came down to a final green, white, checkered caution overtime finish, which is always kind of frustrating. I mean, that was over 20, 25 years ago. They went to the non-yellow finish.
Yeah,
I think that was even
it's frustrating, and
was,
it's not, because the funny
yeah,
thing is that there's two things that people complain about. One of them is the overtime, and the other is the playoff format. And both
yeah,
things, which I have been a defender of, are the reason that I'm pissed off.
yeah. But I think if I'm remembering correctly, the green, white, checkered overtime, I think came about before the playoff and before stage racing, because there was an earlier complaint where you would have a lot of races that would finish under caution. It would just there'd be wrecks, and then they just run out of laps, and that made for really crummy finishes. And forever and ever and ever, it was like, well, that's just the way racing is. But in this day and age, when you got to compete with other stick and ball sports, and that's what NASCAR is trying to do, it wasn't working for him. And I think most of the time it does give you pretty decent finishes, right? Like, I
Yeah,
feel like
most of the time it does. The biggest issue is it can change the outcome of the race.
it can. A guy can
Um,
run out of gas. Um,
but if it's been the same way for 20 years, you should know how to
yeah,
prepare for it.
yeah, yeah.
And a quick Google says the first time it was ever used was August of 2004 at the Brickyard 400.
Okay. So yeah, I was right, about 20 years. But I think it was pre playoffs. I don't know how old the playoffs are now, because it used to be
It's
like the
definitely
sprint for
before
the
the
cup.
playoffs.
Yeah. So
They didn't use the word overtime though until 2016.
yeah, so really, what NASCAR was trying to do, and we've talked about this before, it used to be you'd have your regular season champion, who was William Byron this year. That was wrapped up in like August. So you had this whole rest of the season. What were people racing for, right? And that was the issue.
Sure.
Because it wasn't, right? It's not good for track owners. How do you get people to come watch the race at the end of the season if there's nothing that people are really racing for? I guess. How do you get people to watch it on TV? You're trying to compete with the end of NASCAR season is like right in the peak of football season, right? So you're trying to compete with football on Sundays. So maybe the solution is that the NASCAR season ends in August. Like, does it really need to go through September, October,
I
November?
mean, you're talking about not being fair to track owners. That's all. That's the only reason there's so many, is for
Yeah.
money and marketing.
Yeah, and they've already cut a lot of double races at tracks. Um, so I don't know. I don't know what the solution to that is. In general, it's. I've been pretty happy with what I've been seeing since the next gen car came out. That's what got me back
Yeah,
in.
I don't have any complaints about the current NASCAR format. I genuinely don't. I know we've had this discussion with some people back and forth and talked about it in the Discord and talked about it in person. I don't have an issue with it. And unfortunately, in this particular instance, it affected the person I would rather have seen win, but also like if it had gone the other way, I probably wouldn't be mad. So the people who are fans of the person who did win aren't mad. So it's at the end of the day, unfortunately, it's sports, right? Like
Yeah, I
this is
wouldn't.
just sports.
Yeah,
And they
I
talk about how, maybe he didn't win that many races during the season, and the guy who wins the most races should win the championship. But I mean, you and I both grew up in New England. We were both watched the Patriots through all of their championship seasons. We both watched them go completely undefeated one entire season and then still lose the championship. So it's not unprecedented in sports to
no
have the best season and not be the champion. So I'm
no.
not mad about any of that.
How far did the Celtics make it last year? And they won the year
Yeah,
before,
exactly.
right? And
Yeah,
how far did they make it last year and not win? So,
exactly.
um, I guess it was, the frustrating thing for Denny Hamlin has over 60 wins right now.
I know he has
Uh,
he has 60 wins, exactly 60. He's
okay,
tied for 10th overall, 10th all-time wins,
that's a
which
huge
also
amount.
side effect or side note, um, second through 10th is like 100 to 60, and then
Yeah,
number one is 200. So nobody's ever going to get there. Number one is
yeah.
Richard Petty. That's what they call him, the king, right?
Well, it was just the style of racing was different. It was, I, it was like it was almost easier to. It's hard to say that it was almost easier to win, but who knows?
So
Um,
Richard Petty in the 60s and 70s was basically like a Penske or a Hendrick
yeah,
when the entire rest of the field was garage built cars in people's backyards. So that's kind of part of what it was. Like he always had a factory backed, or for a long time, he had a factory backed team, and everybody else was running, you know, motors they built in their garage with a slide rule and a couple of wrenches. So it's a different time for sure.
yeah. But in general, yeah. So all this time, and Hamlin is now he's 42, so he's
44
right.
is my age.
I thought he was 42. Oh yeah, he's right in between us, or right around our age. Yeah. So he has never won a championship because I think he's always driven during this modern era where it was a lot
Yep.
harder to win a championship because you had to go all the way to the end of the season. So just by dumb luck, the guy's just never done it. And I mean, this year watching the playoffs and watching the JGR cars and the performance that they put on, like it was like, all right, I think they're gonna do it. And it wasn't like, he's had years where he's just completely choked in the playoffs, like first round, and just like messed it all up. It looked like it was going his way, and like they were. I hate this. It's so often used in sports as execute, right? But they were doing that, and they were winning races and finishing high. And his winning, it was Kansas, right, where he just like made that hugely fast pass up by the wall, right? That was Kansas.
Yeah,
It was like,
I don't remember what track it was, but Kansas sounds right.
yeah, it was like this guy at his age, who's old for a NASCAR driver, was like he was putting in the season of his life. And it seemed like he had everything lined up to make it happen. And it wasn't like he was running at the back all day in Phoenix. He was running at the front all
He
day.
was winning the race. Yeah, he was in first place.
Like, and it was like, all right, it was just like when you watch someone perform at a high level in any sport, you're like, yeah, they kind of deserve this. Cause like you're watching somebody who's at the top of their game, like a maestro work like that. He was putting on a master class at the race.
Sure.
And it was just a dumb caution with 3 laps to go. And a strange caution.
So,
I mean,
it was very
let
strange
me
because the
finish.
person. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So there was other cars that had tire failures, and other Toyotas, other Chevys, other Fords that had like right rear and like left front tires seemed to be going. And then all of a sudden, William Byron, who's also in the Final Four, who was doing quite well, who was the only one that seemed in striking distance of Hamlin a couple times, suddenly had a tire failure and seemingly was the only one that couldn't keep it off the wall when his tire failed.
Right.
Everybody else had a tire failure, was able to get into the pits. Right? So what were you going to say?
100%. Oh, I was going to say that it happened to be the teammate of the person who wound up winning the championship who had a
Yes.
mysterious tire failure with 4 or 5 laps to go. At the time, Hamlin was winning the race. I think
By a lot.
that, yeah, by like 2 seconds. I think that Larson was in third, maybe. And then
But
the
nobody was
24,
gaining.
nobody's gaining anything. And the 24 was a couple behind Larson, right? He was probably in 6th or
Yeah.
7th. So I I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I can't get in trouble for it because I didn't do anything here. But um, I feel truly like the Hendrick team said something to somebody and did something somehow and said, "Hey, whatever car is in front at the end, we're gonna have the car who's behind for somehow some reason have an issue and bring out a yellow and go into the you know go into
Yeah,
the pit to
we'll get a
figure
crack
out
at
what's
him.
happening here. We'll get a crack at him.
Yeah, like
Maybe not. And because if that's the case, why didn't they do it with one of the non-playoff cars? Maybe they thought that would be too obvious. I don't know, but something stinks about how this happened.
yeah, like
Um,
maybe the code word is like the sun is setting in Phoenix. Somebody said over the radio or
yeah,
something. It's like
yeah, something. Who knows? But then, how do you make a tire go down? I don't know if you can, unless you just tell the 24 to
to
go into the
drive
corner
worse.
harder than you have been. Yeah, wear that tire out. Get see if we can make something happen here. I don't know. It just the way it went down just it stinks because none of those top cars had tire issues all day. It wasn't the longest run on those tires. There was never any conversation afterwards or showing. Usually after a tire goes down, the pit reporters go down, they look at the tire, they show it on TV, they show where it was corded out or whatever. And there was none of that happened. Something weird. I don't like it. And am I fishing for a conspiracy theory here? And it really, at the end of the day, it's just racing. Maybe,
And
and
to be
maybe it's
honest,
because I'm mad because of how it wound up being in the end. But also, Hamlin's crew chief 4 tires when everybody else took 2.
he took 4 tires in the prior restart and blew everybody's doors off. And I think that's what they were going
But
for.
it took more than 2 laps to do it. That's
Um,
the issue. He had to
yeah,
defend. If he took 2 tires, he could have gone back out in first place and just defended. And
yeah, he should have
unfortunately, he
just
went
taken
back
2
out in like
tires.
7th. And
Tried to make
that's
that
it.
deep
Listen,
pass.
yeah, Monday morning quarterbacking here. Obviously, I don't get paid to be a crew chief. I just, watch the race and think I know better than the crew chief. But
I thought, I was like thinking about it afterwards. I was like, man, it would have been really cool if during the choose rule, everybody who wasn't playoff just chose one lane and let him and Larson line up. Like that's what they should have done. Just
yeah,
you can't do anything about that if all the drivers just let it happen. If they just got to line up in the front row,
Yeah, and also I think what happened was, did you see any of the truck race Friday night?
Yeah, they thought they could go way, way wide. Corey Haim went like deep
He went way not wide.
basically
He went
inside
way
wall.
inside. Yeah, and he passed everybody in like
seven wide.
turn 2. Yeah, yeah, it was wild. It was super cool, but the next gen cars don't handle like a truck. The trucks handle more like the old school cars, so it just didn't quite work out that way for Hamlin. And I hope Hamlin comes back. I hope he has not a shot at it. It would have been it would have been a fairy tale end. His father's probably not going to make it through next season, and his dad was watching the race. There's a whole story there. Like it would have been cool, but
Well, it was funny because I saw
I'm
someone.
mad about it, but I'm mad about it just like when the Celtics lost.
Yeah,
It's nothing I can do about it. Sports.
Someone online mentioned like what people were looking for was 98 Daytona. That's what you wanted. And we didn't get that. We got this bum Larson one. It seemingly didn't feel like he deserved it because he kind of pooped out the whole season. And then
He was terrible the second half.
felt like
He won one
lucked
race
into
in the
it.
playoffs, but
And just like wasn't running that well all day at Phoenix either. It was like
at one point he was a lap down.
And he often does that and then just shows up the end. So I wasn't counting him out. Yeah, but it was like, man, that really felt like you literally just lucked into that. Like that wasn't.
Yeah,
you guys
he
sort of put in some
so
work
much afterwards.
You were. Yeah, you won enough to get there, but it was like, yeah, it was. I don't know.
Again, as much as I want to complain about it, it's sports. You get to the playoffs of any sport, and one team has an easier path to the final game than the others. It's just the nature of sports, and you just have to be the best in the end. And unfortunately, with what happened with the biggest thing, I think was going to be that 4 versus 2 tire choice, but it's just the end of the race is the end of the race. Sports is sports. At the end of the day, someone's going to go home happy and someone's going to go home very upset. This one really hurt because Hamlin's been in the game since 2006, I think was his first year. He's been driving for a long time. He's got a ton of wins, but he does not have a championship. And this is Larson's second, I think.
Yeah.
So,
but that's, and then when I'm talking about 98 Daytona is the first one that Earnhardt won. It would have been his entire career. He had never won Daytona 500, right?
Yeah. I knew what you meant, but probably good that we clarified that. Yeah.
Because, you watch the video at the end of that when he wins, everybody is into it. I mean, the place
even
basically
the
melts down.
Earnhardt people.
Yeah, but every team is like on the pit wall, cheering him on, and I think that probably would have happened for Hamlin, and I think so in NASCAR's interest, that would have been a better story. So interesting.
It would have been a better story instead of just being Larson winning and nobody giving a crap.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could be disappointed more than last year. Turns out,
yeah,
I can be.
And then, nobody from Penske won. Although Ryan Blaney won the race, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, whatever. I didn't go to the race. I kind of wish I had, but kind of I'm glad I did at the same time because I got a lot of stuff done this weekend.
I mean, I wish you had gone just so you could have booed at the end. I would have booed so hard.
Booed anyway. I live close enough that I booed so loud they heard me. It's fine. I just wound up not going because I've been so busy lately and life has been crazy. And what I didn't think about though was that this is the last championship race in Phoenix. Next year it's in Miami. So I didn't think about that. If I thought about that, I probably would have gone. Because I've never been to the championship race. I've only ever gone to the spring race. But oh well. I will live.
Well, you got to be disappointed at home. At least you got stuff done. You didn't waste a whole day at the track and been disappointed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have anything done that I just talked about in my project car updates if I had gone to the race. So
Well, All right. That's it till we've got
2 months.
Dakar. Yeah. Dakar in January. Then the Rolex kicks off, sports car season, and then Daytona. So not really any motorsport stuff for a while. But yeah.
So anyway, Celtics basketball. No, I'm kidding. I won't talk about that now.
All right.
That's my off-season sport
Yeah.
for viewing.
All right, cool.
Anyway, anything else to chat about? Or you want to call it an episode?
I'll call it an episode. I want to drag it on. So, as always, you can find us on Off Topic Podcasts on Instagram. That's usually where we are. I'm Racing Anger on Instagram, the Scale Autocast. I've been posting a bunch of RC stuff on there. Kind of cool. The Climb to the Clouds account reposted one of my photos from 2017.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's the best place to find us. And Brad, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at TSISS350 and also some stuff on Scale Autocast. Oh, and they can follow the rally account for the Arizona Rising Sun Rally at AZ Rising Sun Rally with an ERALLYE on Instagram.
Cool. And if you're interested, send us a message. We'll get you in the Discord. You can hang out. So, as always, keep yours analog and aim at the roses.